Bombshell to Tucson and the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. Has a guy been detained overnight for questioning south of Tucson?
It actually is the greatest time for there to be hair recovered from a scene because the technology right now is on point. In the old days, you had to have that hair, which is also very hard to find, but once it's located, now is one of the best times in the forensics world because you used to have that really great hair root for DNA.
But what did happen is during the course of the day yesterday, after Savannah walked off the set, we found out that some DNA results have come back and that investigators are looking at this DNA information.
In the last weeks, the FBI has confirmed that they obtained DNA from inside Nancy Guthrie's home. Many, including me, believe it was from her bedroom. We are also learning from sources that it is in fact a hair.
A person detained south of Tucson in the late night hours, the same general area where a SWAT operation had previously deployed weeks earlier with a hostage negotiator standing by, only for the detained individual to be released and the entire effort to dissolve into nothing. And now, activity in that same zone again, a second approach to the same geography, but this time with something that did not exist during the first attempt: DNA results. The FBI has confirmed that DNA was obtained from inside Nancy Guthrie's home. According to sources within the investigation, the evidence includes a hair found in the bedroom. Not blood, not a fiber, a hair. And it is now being analyzed at FBI laboratories rather than at the private Florida lab that the Pima County Sheriff's Office has contracted with since the beginning of the investigation.
It actually is the greatest time for there to be hair recovered from a scene because the technology right now is on point. In the old days, you had to have that hair, which is also very hard to find. So you have to give the crime scene people some credit because it is that's a difficult evidentiary piece right there. But once it's located, now is one of the best times in the forensics world because you used to have that really great hair root for DNA, and now you have these laboratories across the country that are able to extract a DNA profile from a hair that is not even having that great root material, so what we call rootless hairs.
The greatest time in forensic history for a hair to be recovered from a crime scene. That assessment comes from a DNA and crime scene consultant who formerly worked for the San Diego Police Department Crime Lab. And the reason is that the technology for analyzing rootless hair without the follicle that traditionally made DNA extraction straightforward, has advanced to a point where viable profiles can now be extracted from what was once considered useless evidence. The distinction matters. If the hair found in Nancy Guthrie's bedroom had a root, the analysis would have been routine. A standard DNA profile could have been generated at the Florida lab weeks ago. The case might already be resolved. But the fact that the hair has been sent to the FBI lab instead suggests that the root is either absent or insufficient for conventional methods, requiring the more specialized SNP extraction techniques that only a handful of laboratories in the country can perform. Tammy Ballard explained the hierarchy. The ideal is a full root for nuclear DNA, DNA from both parents, the most complete and identifiable form. If no root is available, mitochondrial DNA from the maternal line can be extracted, useful for elimination, but less powerful for identification, because many people share the same mitochondrial profile. But beyond both of those, there is now a third option: sequencing. Single nucleotide polymorphism technology, SNP, that allows forensic genetic genealogy to be performed on rootless hair. The same technology that was used in the Gilgo Beach murder prosecution against Rex Heuermann. The same technology that has solved cases where no other physical evidence existed. But with a single hair, the margin is thin. Ballard described it as potentially a one-shot deal. The hair is destroyed during analysis. If the extraction fails, there may be nothing left to try again, and variables outside the lab's control. Whether the hair has been chemically treated, how much DNA is present in that particular shaft, the length of the sample, all affect whether a viable profile can be produced. Meanwhile, the investigation entered another phase of turbulence on the same day. Savannah Guthrie introduced a segment with actress Anne Hathaway on The Today Show, went to commercial break, and when the broadcast resumed, she was gone. Hoda Kotb conducted the interview instead. No explanation was given on air. The preparation that goes into a network segment of that nature is significant. For Savannah to be pulled away mid-broadcast suggests she received information that could not wait. And if you are following this case, what happened next on that same day may connect the DNA results to the detention south of Tucson. Subscribe now, because in this case, every update has changed what we thought we knew.
Again, investigators being very cagey on what they're telling us. We know that we've got multiple labs involved in bringing back multiple results to the Pima County Sheriff's Department and being able to analyze it with the FBI. So there's a lot of different things coming into play, but what did happen is during the course of the day yesterday, after Savannah walked off the set, we found out that some DNA results have come back and that investigators are looking at this DNA information.
DNA results came back on the same day Savannah left the set. Multiple labs involved, multiple results being analyzed simultaneously by both the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI. The timing of these events, Savannah's departure from the broadcast, the return of DNA results, and the detention south of Tucson in the late night hours, creates a sequence that may not be coincidental. If DNA results identified a profile, and that profile pointed to a geographic area or an individual, the overnight detention could be the direct operational consequence of that identification. But the relationship between the Sheriff's Office and the FBI continues to cast a shadow over the process. The former Undersheriff of Pima County, who served 40 years in the department, has publicly stated that the sheriff's decision to route evidence to a private Florida lab rather than the FBI's facilities at Quantico is rooted in territoriality and a personal grudge against the FBI, dating back to an internal investigation years earlier. The sheriff has denied this characterization, stating that he called the FBI the Monday after Nancy went missing and that collaboration has been ongoing. One concrete example of what this tension may have cost the investigation has already been documented: the surveillance video from Nancy's front door camera. The sheriff's office initially determined that no video existed because Nancy did not have an active subscription. The FBI, upon becoming involved, discovered that Google had retained the footage on cloud servers despite the lack of a subscription. Without that intervention, the only known image of the suspect at Nancy's front door would not exist. The Pima County Sheriff's Office released a statement, the first in weeks, confirming cooperation with the FBI. The statement was brief. It confirmed what was already known and added little new information. But its timing, on the same day that DNA results returned and a person was detained overnight, suggests that the pressure to demonstrate collaboration publicly has reached a level that the department can no longer ignore.
In the last weeks, the FBI has confirmed that they obtained DNA from inside Nancy Guthrie's home. Many, including me, believe it was from her bedroom. We are also learning from sources that it is in fact a hair. Now, we could do a lot of finger pointing right now about why Nanos' team didn't find it, what a miracle it is that the FBI found it weeks later. Reality, they found it.
The FBI found it, weeks after the initial crime scene processing by the Sheriff's Department. Whether the hair was missed during the first sweep or was collected among dozens or hundreds of evidence samples and only identified later during processing, the result is the same. A piece of physical evidence that could identify the person who was inside Nancy Guthrie's bedroom now exists and is being analyzed at the highest level of forensic capability available. The question of how the hair was recovered remains open. One possibility is that an MVAC, a forensic wet vacuum DNA collection system, was used on surfaces in the bedroom: bedspread, pillows, carpet, hardwood floor, nightstand. The MVAC sprays a gentle liquid across a surface and suctions it back, capturing biological material that traditional swabbing might miss. If the hair was caught on one of those filters, it may not have been identified until the filter was examined at the lab, which could explain the delay between collection in February and the current analysis timeline. Whatever the method, the evidence now exists, and the convergence of events, DNA results returning, Savannah leaving the broadcast mid-segment, a person detained south of Tucson overnight, and the FBI ramping up advanced testing on mixed genetic samples, all point toward a phase of the investigation that is qualitatively different from the weeks of silence that preceded it. Nancy Guthrie is still missing, a mother, dependent on daily medication that has remained untouched in her home since the night she vanished. A family holding on while processing each new development as it arrives. The ransom notes, the DNA confirmation, the detentions that lead to nothing, and the detentions that might lead to something. A hair sitting in an FBI laboratory. And somewhere in the forensic pipeline, the answer to who was inside that bedroom may be taking shape. If you have any information, contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit tips at tips.fbi.gov. The reward currently exceeds $1.2 million. A conviction or even an arrest is not required for the reward. This story is far from over. Subscribe now, because in this case, every update has changed what we thought we knew. This content is analytical, based on publicly available sources, for informational and awareness purposes only. It does not represent official conclusions. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Viewers should consult additional independent sources for a complete perspective.